Chapter 204. In terms of size, Dark Zero is several times smaller than the King of Australia. Both stand silently, exchanging affectionate glances. Occasionally, the dark Godzilla exhales, as if it's constantly on the brink of death. The King of Australia, on the other hand, is like a demon king, his body pitch black, his horns towering like a mountain, radiating an intimidating aura with two gigantic horns on his head. The giant snail has realized something. The monster in front of him is no longer a living creature. It seems that a strange energy is sustaining its life instead of the life force that all other species have. Thinking this, he speaks in a deep voice. "You are not a beast? Who are you really?" Dark Zero has nothing to say. Faced with such a difficult question, he immediately attacks. If he had to explain, he would start from when he was born in the darkness tens of thousands of years ago. It's a coming-of-age story of 5,000 chapters that he can't possibly tell in full. The snail raises a tentacle to shield itself from this scorching attack, acting decisively, as if it's a natural reflex to protect its body. It seems this strange beast has chosen death. The snail looks at Dark Zero with a cold gaze. Not only is it strange, but it's also impolite, never answering others, truly deserving of death. Immediately, the space around the snail trembles. Countless gigantic tentacles rise from the ground, their blue-gray color wrapped in a layer of green life aura. Yes, this is the part of the snail's body hidden under the ground. It seems calling it a snail is no longer appropriate, but a land octopus is too absurd, isn't it? In the blink of an eye, these tentacles sway and rush to capture Dark Zero, moving extremely fast. The tentacles divide, locking its limbs, tail, neck, and short. All parts capable of attacking are locked, leaving only a mouth. No problem. Perhaps the snail just needs to immobilize this beast to deliver a fatal blow. After these tentacles have tightly wrapped the opponent, they begin to open gaps like strange green eyes. Then all the tentacles start to tremble, as if preparing to spit out something. Oh God, please don't spit out rotten pus. No. It's the ultimate skill, humic acid. What is humic acid? Humic acid is a main component of humic substances, important organic compounds of peat, lignite, coal, many mountain streams, eutrophic lakes, and seawater. It is created by the decomposition of dead biological organic matter. It is not a single acid. Rather, it is a complex mixture of many different acids containing carboxyl and phenolate groups so that the mixture functions as a dibasic acid. Humic acid can form complexes with ions commonly found in the environment, creating humic colloids. It seems this is not a type of acid with high destructive properties, but it seems Dark Zero is in great pain, which is probably natural, because any type of acid when in contact with flesh creates a cell-burning effect. How can it not hurt? While the snail has pumped a huge amount of humic acid onto it, turning this place into a river of super sticky acid glue, turning Dark Zero into a wax statue. Is it over? The kangaroo still stands with its arms crossed, watching its owner fight. At this point, it seems everything has been decided. It turns out this Zero monster doesn't have any impressive guts. The kangaroo thinks to itself, the one who has been hit by the king's rotten acid will surely turn into a pool of blood. Oh indeed, that green liquid is not something good. It must have destroyed Dark Zero's nose first. But the next moment took both by surprise. The wax statue of Dark Zero, unable to bear the stench, began to crumble, changing from green to pink. The spiritual rays of the Dark Godzilla began to spurt out, the sound of bubbles bursting. Dark Zero successfully escaped from the terrifying layer of rotten acid glue. Just a moment slower and the Dark might have been depressed by the stench and given up on conquering this world. The snail was a bit surprised at this scene, knowing that no creature had ever escaped from his rotten acid prison. This damaged his dignity in front of his subordinates, but before he could think, a tail as sharp as a spear rushed at him at an alarming speed. Dark Zero intended to drill a hole in the snail's head with a straight skewer. Unfortunately, this move was locked. A tentacle had caught the tail, holding it tightly and not letting go. The next moment, the tentacle transformed into a powerful arm, lifting the entire Dark Zero into the air, and began to spin the opponent in the air for 3 rounds. Counting exactly to 3, The snail slammed the beast to the ground, not forgetting to pump a bit more rotten acid into the opponent. Yes, this is the specialty of the snail. Dark Zero's head was slammed hard into the ground. The neck seemed to have been seriously injured, the ground had shattered. Countless life energy and rotten acid splashed around. Even the nearby kangaroo had to raise its hand to shield against this violent impact. Dark Zero stood up like a zombie. Not knowing what pain is, it wanted to rush to retaliate against the opponent, but was once again caught by the snail's tentacle. The screams of Dark Zero echoed in the sky, because this time the tentacle was tighter than before, as if wanting to cut it into pieces. If it didn't have a sturdy skin, it would have been dead long ago. The snail caught and held Dark Zero tightly on the ground. The whole body seemed to have been broken into several segments, just not broken off yet. Looking at Dark Zero at this moment is like a dead dog. The whole body is shaking. This is the natural reflex of muscle groups when being squeezed too tight. The king spoke in a deep voice like the bell of death. Die! A tentacle turned into a sharp spear, rushing down. The next moment, the tail of Dark Zero had been cut off from the body. Dark Zero at this moment could only lie still and endure, no longer having the strength to scream. The king decided to grant him a grand death as a memento to the other world. This is also the ultimate skill that he loves the most. Immediately countless boils on the king's body lit up green. Oh dear brother, intending to spit out rotten pus again. His opponent will die in the horror of disgust. The king squinted his eyes and shouted sternly, "Don't moan here like a puppy. Go die." The next moment, countless green boils began to spit out sharp green spiritual light. Is this perhaps life energy that has been transformed to attack? At this moment the king is like a disco ball in a bar. Only, this light shines wherever it goes, that place is destroyed. In the blink of an eye, Dark Zero had been cut into many pieces, fresh blood splashed out. This is indeed a brutal and ostentatious form of execution. The king even adjusted his light beams to cut more into the face of the opponent. The spiritual rays pierced through and hit the ground, causing countless large explosions. The king continued to spit, ensuring that this enemy must die completely. Yes, he has gone through hundreds of battles, with all kinds of enemies with a myriad of different skills. Reality has taught him that, even if there are no signs of life, the opponent may not necessarily be dead. After a super bloody execution, the king looks coldly. The whole area is full of Dark Zero's blood. The tentacles still hold his body tightly. Fresh blood continuously flows from hundreds of open wounds. The skin of the beast has also been burned to almost charcoal. Dark Zero at this moment only has one arm and one leg left. It seems to have breathed its last breath. Indeed, no physical body can withstand such a terrifying firepower. The kangaroo below is certain that its owner has won, because it sees the opponent is just a lump of dry charcoal. The smell of burnt meat everywhere. Kangaroo now needs to prepare some winged compliments for its owner. But damn, that happened. From the expired body of Dark Zero, a shadow is rising from its neck, carrying countless whispers from the realm of death. The king looks surprised. This is clearly not a recovery skill, because there is no smell of any signs of life increase. The king guesses that this beast is trying to preserve its soul to resurrect once more. Surely it is. Right now this king still thinks that he is the strongest villain in the world, the final boss of the planet. The darkness is increasingly expanding on Dark Zero's body. Suddenly the king feels a vague chill, perhaps also like the divine tree. This is the fear of deep natural instinct. What is this beast? Not a single soul ray is black, and a corpse cannot resurrect itself. But Dark Zero is still hesitating to move forward. At this moment the king was startled, panicked and asked, "You? Who are you?" Dark Zero now deigned to answer, "How about that? Surprised?" The darkness has replaced the remaining part of Dark Zero's head. He continued to excitedly say, "Unexpected, really unexpected. There is such a powerful mutant beast in this world. Not inferior to that mutant tree. He. Deciding to come here first is correct." Kangaroo saw this scene. The whole body was cold. Sweat also wanted to freeze. This beast actually survived, and talked casually like that. Don't say it is the scariest villain, right? Instinct tells Kangaroo to run fast, but the responsibility of a close warrior number one of the king does not allow him to do so. After hearing Dark Zero's words, the king suddenly felt self-esteem rise. He growled. His eyes emitted a deadly angry ray and asked back, "Coming here first is correct? Damn, who are you really? What is your purpose?" But the dialogue seemed to have ended. While King Snail was off guard, Dark Zero stomped hard on the ground with his remaining leg, took a quick start and rushed to grab King Snail. He screamed loudly. His mouth seemed to be laughing weirdly, uttered a taunting sentence as if thousands of souls were saying together, "Let me have your body, ha 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 ha." Another arm had recovered. His two hands grabbed the king's body tightly. The darkness began to stretch out, wanting to capture the head of King Snail. But at this moment the king had realized. The whole body began to erupt green energy. Perhaps he wanted to self-destruct, not to let this bastard snatch his body. The darkness came and let out a taunting sentence. "You can't do anything." Is that true? The life energy of the king had erupted into a sphere, with huge spiritual power. It seemed about to explode. Inside the sphere, the darkness like a floating creature was trying to envelop the king's body. At this moment the darkness also felt terrified, because the energy is getting stronger and stronger, bigger and bigger. In the last second, the king did not hesitate to explain to the darkness that this is the energy that can destroy everything. Even spiritual energy will be destroyed immediately. Perhaps like the power of nuclear weapons, they decompose everything. Kangaroo exclaimed, "Damn it!" Then it quickly ran away. If it didn't escape in time, it would turn into ashes. Look, the energy sphere was as big as a mountain. The darkness squinted its eyes, using all its strength to capture its prey. But it was too late. It couldn't stop this terrifying energy. It began to expand uncontrollably, creating circular reactions flying into the air. The next moment, the green energy spread in all directions, then retracted to a point. A nuclear reaction occurred. The explosion was so big that it could be seen from space. Did the Earth shake? Probably not to that extent, but this explosion was enough to cause a terrifying impact on the entire continent of Australia. Chapter 205. Indeed, that explosion turned a large area into lava. No creature could survive within the radius of that explosion. Of course, powerful creatures could escape death with their skills if they were far enough away. And Kangaroo was one of them. At that time it moved at supersonic speed. It was the speed of running away from death. Now looking at this whole land turned into lava, it had to look quite far to see the place of its owner. So the move just now was not suicide, it was an ultimate move of the king. What was its name? I don't know either, but indeed that move was very strong, with a huge damage area. At this time, the darkness only had its own entity left, a black eye with blood-red pupils. It stared intently at the king. Indeed, the king's move just now made it unable to complete the process of body possession. Perhaps it had underestimated the enemy. The darkness squinted its eyes. This time it would be more careful. The king looked into the darkness, suspiciously asked, "Is this your true face?" After a few seconds, seeing that the bastard still didn't answer, the king got angry. A huge mouth full of sharp teeth rose up. Oh dear, a new trick. At this time the king revealed something. His power is creation and combination. He will swallow the darkness and create another entity, stronger than ever. Indeed, this is the boss of the Australith-like monster species. They eat other creatures to possess the body structure and power of the opponent. But damn it, so stupid. Why swallow the darkness? After saying that, the king opened his mouth wide and rushed forward, wanting to swallow the darkness into his stomach. The darkness heard that and laughed loudly. His eyes squinted in laughter. He whispered a sentence full of satisfaction. "I understand." Hee. Snap. The harsh biting sound echoed. The king successfully bit the darkness. Kangaroo now no longer fantasizes about victory. On the contrary, it is extremely nervous. Both hands are also clenched tightly. The next moment, its owner's whole body was as black as darkness. The darkness spread down from the mouth, spread gradually to the body. The darkness became more and more intense. The screams of countless souls were screaming in it. The darkness continued to invade every inch of the king's body. It seemed that the king was also resisting. We can see that there were a few times the darkness seemed to stop, but then it slipped down the remaining parts of the body quickly. Too stupid. Once swallowing the darkness into the body, The king no longer has the ability to resist this invasion. Kangaroo was stunned, not understanding what was happening, because this time its master absorbed another but seemed to be in great pain. His whole body twisted like a demon. The process was complete. The king had truly been dissolved. His whole body now radiated a strange dark color, carrying a strong breath of death. Kangaroo felt that its master was a bit strange, never before carrying such a strange and scary breath. But he still stood there, motionless. Kangaroo decided to exclaim, "That guy has lost, the king has won." But the reply to him was a deadly cold voice of the darkness. "You think I will lose? Damn it." This voice made Kangaroo scared to the point of dropping his heart out. He had secretly known. His world champion master had truly been liquidated. But Kangaroo, in order to survive, still had to pretend to kneel down and respectfully say, "I'm sorry. It's because I was too excited." Kangaroo was sweating like rain. The one standing in front of him had the shape of the king, but the temperament was very messy, carrying a strong, strange breath of the beast. But he dared not ask more, because then he might die. At this time, a tentacle rushed to the back of Kangaroo. What did his master intend to do? Want to kill him to shut him up? Kangaroo was scared to sweat. His eyes widened in horror and screamed, "Master, it's me. It's your servant here." The next moment, the tentacle shot a pale pink energy into his body, not causing any pain at all. On the contrary, Kangaroo's whole body became full of momentum. A dark power merged into the body. Kangaroo felt as if he had become several times stronger. He exhaled a few breaths, as if every cell in him had undergone a big change. Kangaroo's eyes emitted a dark ray. He exclaimed in delight, "This is amazing." Perhaps also like when the divine tree poured life essence into other creatures, they supplemented energy and had a healing effect to eliminate fatigue, reaching a certain state of excitement. However, this skill of the darkness seemed to have the ability to pump dark attributes into the beast and control or bind them. This is not a skill of the darkness, but a skill of the king. But through the hands of the darkness, it seems to have a higher level of influence. The darkness secretly thought this skill is really wonderful. Perhaps he will summon other species under his rule and grant them power in this way. Thinking so, he decided to do it. He roared loudly. The sound spread to every nook and cranny, every pebble of the continent. The tentacles around also kept waving, transmitting this sound down to the ground. Just in a short time, the dinosaur and Komodo dragon species had responded. They also roared loudly and rushed over together, followed by the mutant bats, pulling a flock of thousands of them. The mammals on the ground, including koala bears, mice, hedgehogs, cats of various kinds. Then the Australiths also rose from the ground. These are the key mutant beast forces under the rule of the king. Indeed, a powerful army. Most of them have reached the evolution level above Transcendent First. The darkness looked at the army around him. Indeed, too numerous and powerful. He once again felt that the decision to come here to conquer this place was an excellent decision, beyond excellent. He spoke loudly for all the beasts to hear. "Come here, my children, become stronger." At Misty Mountain, the space was very quiet. The Divine Tree was studying a new system announcement. His dragonwood roots had evolved to level 3 and turned into a real dragon entity, currently progressing into the semi-dragon stage. The Divine Tree raised his hand to stroke his chin. The roots unexpectedly also evolved into a dragon. Perhaps due to the habit of use that made the system develop like that, the Divine Tree couldn't help but think about the prospect of all the roots turning into winged dragons. Oh dear. Then perhaps the Divine Tree could fly. The dream of flying for the Divine Tree is still something that haunts him incessantly. Because he can't fly, he always feels inferior to his friends. Checking the spiritual power points again, he had reached 85 million, nearly double than before. This was the result of absorbing the spiritual tide. Even the spaces in the third eye had also expanded several times. The spiritual tide carried omnipotent spiritual power, including all attributes inside. It can be imagined as the stem cells of humans can turn into any kind of spiritual power the recipient wants. Thinking about the effect of these spaces, at present, the Divine Tree can use them to store reserve energy. When appropriate, can throw a few excellent subordinates in there for them to cultivate. Can also bring all of Misty Mountain and allies into it. When necessary or in an emergency, can escape together. Isn't it a useful thing? It turns out the divine tree has also thought very seriously about the possibility of his defeat before the darkness. Indeed, a king cannot be too arrogant and confident. If so, the road to destruction will surely come. Looking at the tear in space there, the abundant spiritual rays of space color were still pulling down. The divine tree at this time knew that he still needed to expand the space more. He continued to open his 7 spaces and catch these spiritual power streams. This is a rare opportunity. Wait for the 4th tide? Will he live till tomorrow to wait? Besides, this way also helps the divine tree continue to increase his own spiritual power, achieving higher productivity. In the realm of life, a beam of light fell, shining directly onto Elsa. She looked surprised, wondering what trick the divine tree was playing. But the next moment, Elsa suddenly felt a warm surge. A strange sense of comfort, all fatigue vanished. She closed her eyes and began to enjoy this spiritual tide. Outside, the divine tree shuddered involuntarily. He had sensed something terrifying. Even if he had hair, his hair would stand on end. A very terrifying spiritual breath just came, making him terrified. The divine tree traced the direction of that breath. It seemed to come from Australia, and this breath was also very familiar. Indeed, the divine tree squinted, his heart pounding. It was the darkness. On this side, King Darkness led his entire army to the seashore, waiting for something. Kangaroo, with its black eyes and blood-red pupils, stood beside him. He dared not ask but was still curious in his head, not understanding why the king led them to the seashore. Planning to go fishing for entertainment? The sea suddenly stirred incessantly, as if thousands of sea monsters were rushing together. Indeed, after that, the sea parted, revealing countless sea beasts of all shapes with huge bodies, including the black dragon from before, and all the remaining kings of the sea, including the king crab, the king octopus. It seems that's all. Seeing this, Kangaroo cursed loudly. Do you guys want to fight again? He didn't know that these were the subordinates of his king. On the contrary, the kings of the sea were silent, not even daring to utter a word. King Darkness still stood there casually. Then, the black dragon stepped forward and respectfully said, "Long live the king, you have finally awakened." End of chapter 205.